I'm 78 years old, and there's something I finally understand now that I didn't when it might have mattered. I learned too late that work couldn't love me back. I'm not saying that with bitterness. I'm saying it with the calm that comes when there's not much left to prove. Most mornings now are quiet. I wake up before the sun because my body doesn't know how to sleep in anymore. I sit at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that goes cold before I finish it. The house is still, too still. No one rushing, no one waiting on me. No phone ringing with something urgent that only I can fix. There was a time when silence like this would have terrified me. Now it just reminds me of how loud my life used to be and how little of it I actually heard. I'm telling this because I don't have much reason not to anymore. Most of the people I used to impress are gone. The titles don't follow me into this room. The deadlines don't care if I'm still breathing. What's left is memory and honesty. When I was younger, work felt solid. It had rules. If you showed up, stayed late, did what was asked, you got something back. Praise, promotions, a sense of being needed. It felt dependable in a way people didn't. I wasn't chasing money, not exactly. I was chasing the feeling that I mattered. In my 20s, I told myself I was building something. In my 30s, I told myself this was just a busy season. In my 40s, I told myself things would slow down once I reached a certain point. They never did. I had a job that sounded impressive when I said it out loud. People nodded when I explained what I did. My parents were proud. My coworkers respected me. I was the one people called when something went wrong. I was reliable. I was steady. I was always there, just not at home. I didn't see it as neglect at the time. I saw it as responsibility. I missed dinners, but I brought takeout home late and told myself that counted. I missed school events, but I paid for the trips and the supplies and the things that made life easier. I missed conversations, but I assumed we'd have them later when things calmed down. I really believed there would be a later. My wife used to wait up for me. At first, she'd ask how my day was. She'd tell me about hers. I'd half listen, already thinking about the next morning. Eventually, she stopped waiting. Then she stopped asking. I noticed, but not enough. I told myself she understood. I told myself this was the price of stability. We didn't fight much. That's something people get wrong. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. It was space growing where something else used to be. On Sundays, I told myself I'd rest. But rest made me uneasy. I didn't know who I was without being useful. So I checked emails, I organized things, I planned ahead. I stayed busy even when no one asked me to. Work rewarded that. It always did. At the office, people noticed my commitment. They said things like, "We don't know what we'd do without you." I carried those words home like proof that I was doing the right thing. I didn't realize that being indispensable at work was slowly making me invisible everywhere else. My kids grew up while I was busy, not abandoned, just unattended. I knew their ages, I knew their schools, I knew the big things, but I didn't know the small ones, the passing interests, the inside jokes, the worries they didn't say out loud. I assumed we'd catch up when they were older. I assumed they'd understand. Years passed like that. Nothing fell apart all at once. That's the dangerous part. You don't wake up one morning and realize you've lost something. You just wake up and it's a little quieter than it used to be. The phone rings less. The house feels bigger. The people you love start handling things without you. By the time I noticed, I was already used to not being needed at home. Work had trained me well. The turning point wasn't dramatic. It never is. My wife got sick, not suddenly, slowly, appointments, tests, long waits in rooms that smelled like disinfectant and old magazines. I took time off. I really did. I sat in those chairs beside her feeling like a visitor in my own marriage. We didn't have the habit of talking anymore. We'd sit quietly, holding hands, and I'd realize how much of our life had gone unspoken. One afternoon, she looked at me and said, "You don't know what to do when there's nothing to fix." She didn't say it cruelly. She said it like an observation. She was right. When she passed, people from work sent flowers. They told me to take all the time I needed. Then, after a while, they stopped calling. I went back to the office because I didn't know where else to go. The desk was the same. The work was the same. But something had shifted. I wasn't indispensable anymore. Someone younger had learned my job. Someone faster. Someone with more energy. I'd spent decades giving everything I had to a place that replaced me without much trouble. That's when it became clear. Work had never loved me. It had just used what I gave and moved on. At home, the silence was heavier now. My kids visited, but they had their own lives. I didn't fit easily into them. We were polite. We were careful. We didn't know how to talk about the years we'd missed. I don't blame them. Distance, once it becomes normal, is hard to undo. There are things you can't go back and fix, no matter how much time you suddenly have. I can't relive a childhood I wasn't present for. I can't rebuild a marriage that was quietly neglected. I can't explain myself into being closer now. Time doesn't work that way. What hurts isn't that I worked hard. It's that I believed hard work would eventually give me what I was actually avoiding. Connection, stillness, the discomfort of being fully present. I thought providing was the same as loving. I thought staying busy meant staying important. I see now how wrong that was. If you're listening to this and you're younger, I'm not here to warn you or scare you. I'm just telling you what my life looks like from this side of it. Work will always take more if you offer it. It will never tell you to go home. It will never remind you that someone is waiting. People do that, or they try to, and if you don't answer long enough, they stop. I used to think being remembered meant being respected. Now I understand it means being missed. These days I do small things slowly. I water the plants. I walk to the mailbox. I sit on the porch and watch the light change. None of it is impressive. None of it earns praise. But it's real. Sometimes I think about all the hours I spent proving myself to people who barely remember my name now. I wonder what would have happened if I'd gone home earlier, if I'd listened more, if I'd allowed myself to be less productive and more present. There's no answer to that. Just a feeling that settles in your chest when you stop pretending. I don't hate my life. I'm grateful for parts of it. I learned things. I helped people. I did what I thought was right. But I wish I'd known sooner that love doesn't wait forever. And it doesn't compete well with busyness. If this meant something to you, maybe just sit with it for a while. You don't have to do anything about it today. Just notice who's still waiting.